Hello and welcome to the Paper Airplane Lab. This is where I teach you how to fold paper airplanes that will fill the sky. My name is Edward, and today I will be teaching you how to fold an amazing paper airplane called F-18 Hornet. Now, F-18 Hornet just looks like your regular plane, jet plane from the top with two fins, which I think is really cool. But if you look at the side, you can see that it has missiles on the sides, like the real F-18 Hornet does. And then if you take a look at the bottom, it has an air intake that connects to an afterburner at the back. So I think that is really cool that plane is coming through, the air is right there, and then it comes through the air intake and out the afterburner. So I really like this plane, and it actually flies pretty well too. And so let's check that out. So in the test flights, I used this plane, which I used a 10-inch by 10-inch sheet of 15-pound origami paper. But it didn't. But you can see that it won't fly as well with the 15-pound. It looks cooler with the 15-pound because it isn't quite as wrinkled as if you use something more. But I recommend using printer paper cut square, and I like to use 24-pound paper, and it's just a little bit thicker than your normal regular printer paper. So I'll teach you how to cut this into a square paper, and then we'll teach you how to fold it. So you just fold the top edge to the right edge or the left edge, it doesn't really matter. And then we are going to be cutting on this line. You can use scissors. I'm going to cut on this line. See. So if you don't have scissors with you, you can just turn the paper over, flip it over, and then fold this back bottom edge up so it just reveals that other layer. Crease that really sharply, unfold that, turn it over, and then you can unfold this too. And then you can just fold it back and forth a bunch of times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think 5 is enough. And then you can sort of like push it together, the mountain fold you made, and then kind of pull apart at the top till you get a starting tear, and then you can just pull it apart until it gets to the back. That is my favorite way of cutting paper without using scissors, so it's a handy trick to use. So now that we have a square sheet of paper, we can fold this corner to this corner. And if you are using paper with white side on the back, just begin white side up. Unfold, and then we're going to fold this to here, just like we did this the last time. We're just making an X shape. And while we have that folded, we are going to fold this corner to this bottom point. Turn it over, flip the paper over, and then we're going to do the same thing on the other side. Just folding it to that bottom point. This part is the next part is trickier but I think most people would be able to do that. So what we are going to do is we have all these flaps here, and then we're going to get the middle pocket and then kind of open it up, and then use your thumbs to push it down, and this is called the water bomb base. There are a lot of different ways to make the water bomb base, and this is just one that I like. So now we have the water bomb base, and then we can fold this this top layer of this edge into the center crease. You can see what we did here. And then we're going to do the same thing on this side, just folding the top layer of this crease into the center. So once we have it like that, we can flip the paper over and then do the same thing on the other side. It kind of looks like a rocket now. Just folding those layers to the center. And then we're going to do the same thing on the other side. I'm going to fix my last one. I didn't make it precise. I'll do some test flights at the end that show what it is like with printer paper cut square. So, this is probably maybe the trickiest part of the plane, if not the second trickiest. We are going to shape this paper. Well, first, before we do that, we are going to open up this layer and find this bottom layer in here. I'm going to mark it where the center crease is right here. I made a little mark in the center. And now we're going to close these layers up, but we're going to fold to that layer. But we're not going to fold all the way across. We're just going to make a little tiny mark in the center. Just push it down. That's called a pinch mark. Then we're going to do the same thing on we're going to fold this edge to that pinch mark. Do another pinch mark. And then finally we're going to fold that pinch mark to that pinch mark. And then we are not going to do a pinch mark. These layers are kind of getting thick here. Unfold that. Now now we have our crease that is all the way across that is not a pinch mark in the center. And we are going to fold in between that middle section, that middle center crease, and then all the way out to this corner. We're basically making a jet fold here. Well, we are making a jet fold here. So we're just gonna fold in between that center crease where we made our crease all the way across and that edge. And of course you can do that on the other side. And so I'm just going to make the mark so you can see it. And here we have both of our marks. And then we're going to just fold on those marks. Like, you don't have to do the drawing. That's just what I did. I just made a valley fold along that mark I made. Doing the same thing on the other side. Sorry you can't see it. And then we're going to kind of form our paper into place by putting our fingers at the edges and then kind of holding the back the layers in place at the back and then kind of squeezing them together so it kind of looks like an eagle's beak. And then we can just totally flatten that out. And now you can see you have our jet shape. Like that is what you do in almost every jet plane that looks like this. I'm just gonna crease everything sharply. And here we go. So now we have our jet shape, and it's time to make our fin. This is we're gonna make our fins, 2 fins. So we're going to fold like one of these fins up. We're not gonna completely unfold it like this. We're gonna actually just fold it back up, and it depends on you can we're just like you can see how this is folded in. I can show you how this is folded down, and then we're just going to make it fold up again. And when you fold it up, you want your fin, this edge, to run parallel with this edge and it be the same line. You can pull that all the way to the back. And now we're going to do the same thing on the other side, just pulling up our fin. You can make it book match, or you can just make it match by pulling it so the layer is the same on the inside of the jet fold and on the outside and on the top. So I'm going to just kind of pinch it at the back and fold it up. So now that was a pretty tricky part. I know that was tricky, but now you have done the fins. And we can fold our wings up. Normally with other regular paper airplanes, you just fold the wings down, but we are going to fold the wings up. And then you can sit them like this, hold out our fins, and we're not done yet because our plane comes apart and we have no air intake and no afterburner. So we're gonna make our locking mechanism. We're actually gonna, if you ever made a fin on a regular paper airplane, like an airtime plane, you can do it. You should be able to do it on this. But we're just going to make valley creases and then a mountain crease like this. So one mountain in the center and then 2 valleys along these edges. And then we're just going to pinch that mountain and pull it up. All the way up so it's tight. So now we're going to fold. I'm just going to get these fins out of the way. You don't have to do that. Now we have the center section. We are going to fold this edge of the center section down into the bottom of this jet fold right here, along the leading edge of the jet fold in the bottom. You can just see what I'm doing. I'm just folding it in so it goes through that back corner. This is going to lock our plane together, and it's going to make a very small point up in between the fins. And well, we almost are finished. We are almost finished. You can see our plane locks together. We have our 2 fins, but still we have no air intake. So let's make our air intake. Now, at the end, when we're finished making our air intake, we will make our fins flat like the real F-18 Hornet. But we're going to do that last. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to curl this edge And you can do it around a pencil. I honestly just like to do it without a pencil, but you can just really work that edge and then just really bend it so now it's in the shape of our air intake. And then we are going to fold this edge down. Like, really, this is important to make our air intake walk. We're folding this edge down. So, like, you rolled it one direction, and then you're going to fold it this edge to down like this, the opposite direction. Now, you would want to fold it down like a quarter of an inch. And then this is the trickiest part of the whole plane. This is an advanced paper airplane, and then this is just very, very tricky. But I think you viewers can be able to do this. So what we're doing is we're just basically putting this into this pocket, and then there's another pocket inside of that pocket that we're going to tuck this folded edge in. So I hope you can see this. I'm actually going to pull the wing out a little bit, so this will be easier. So I'm just pulling the wing out, tucking this bottom layer under the wing, like along this edge. And we're not going to fold it. It's going to be folded when the wing is closed. You can see that. So, and then you can pinch this layer on the bottom. This is kind of hard for me too, anyways, but I just folded, like, I just folded this edge into that pocket, inside of that pocket. So I'm going to keep working on this until I get it. It's actually very hard for me to do this too. So if you can't do this, I know what you mean. So I just finished my air intake. It looks like this. And then like the afterburner is on this side, the air intake is on this side. I'm just going to shape my air intake into a circle and then kind of move it so it's not pointing to one direction. Now, that is kind of a cheating way to make an air intake, I know. But I wanted this plane to have an air intake and an afterburner that connected. That wasn't like expert level. This is advanced level, not expert. But if you have folded this, you are folded. Well, if you have folded this, then good job. Like, this is not finished yet. We're just going to do 2 inside reverse folds, and then this will be finished. So we will fold this top point down, just like this. And then we can unfold that. And then we can, like, this is the fin, not the wing. We can open it up and then inside reverse fold that into the fin, like I'm trying to reinforce that edge with my finger. And now this kind of looks weird with one fin flat and one foot pointed. And then we're just going to do the same thing on the other side. And after that, we will make the missiles on the wings, and then we will be done. So I like making this jet and other jets look like the real jet that it's named after. So we will make the missiles on the wings. Now, I like to fold in maybe like of the wing, like maybe 3/4 of an inch if you're using printer paper cut squared, maybe 1 inch if you're using 10-inch origami paper. You can do the same thing on the other side. I did 3/4 of an inch. I can see on my nice grid. Like I'm using 3/4 of an inch. Like the larger you make, like the larger you fold this, the larger your missiles will be. I like to make my planes have a decent sized um afterburners fins. Like if you have ever folded Nemesis on this channel, then that has afterburners. You can make the afterburners bigger, but I like to make them smaller. And that's the same thing what I'm doing with these missiles. And we're going to do the same thing that we did on the fin. We're just going to inside reverse fold those. But before we do that, I forgot one step. We're actually going to fold this outer edge to that crease we just made, and then we can unfold that and inside reverse fold. Okay, I know that was a lot, but we can do that. Inside reverse fold the other side after you have done that extra crease. Now that extra crease is important if you want your missiles to look neat. Unfold that and do the same thing on this side, just inside reverse folding that. And still we don't have our missiles. Now it's time to fold the missiles. This is another pretty tricky part. Not as tricky as that air intake. So I like to stick my finger in there. Like you can see, this is pointed up. And then fold it under like this. Like, yes. What I did is just, I'll do the same thing on this side. I just mountain folded that other crease to make it stick out of the back, like the missiles. Now that we've done it on both sides, we have a finished F-18 Hornet. Like, this thing's the most detailed jet plane that I've ever designed. Missiles on the sides of the wings, an afterburner, and an air intake. This is the first plane I've designed with an air intake, and this is the only plane I've designed yet with an air intake. So it's a big deal. So I'm gonna show you the test flights for the 24-pound printer paper cut square.